So we went through the West, we went through the South. Now we're going to the NFC North. And of course, this is the division that is known as the Aaron Rodgers division, at least until last year. Now, Rodgers has left the NFC North. He's went to the AFC East. We have a division that is controlled by one team and one team only. And I think that team right now that controls this division is a team that won it last season. And of course, I'm talking about the 13-4 Minnesota Vikings. Now, the reason I say they're controlling it is because, I mean, look at this. This 13-4 last season, the closest that a team got to actually compete with them is the Lions at 9-8. But let's talk about only the Vikings here. Let's not talk about any of the other teams here in this division, because I think this is going to be a must-watch division this year. And I think this is going to be a very close division as well. Let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings here. So you still have Kirk Cousins as your starting quarterback. You have Nick Mullins as the backup. I believe Nick Mullins, they picked up, I believe, where did he come from? I can't remember where he came from. I think they did pick him up like recently, didn't they? He came from Cleveland, and he was actually there last season. Okay. But anyways, yeah, Kirk Cousins is still the starting quarterback. They did lose Dalvin Cook. Alexander Madison taking over like full-on duties this year for the Vikings, running back-wise. So, of course, when you're talking about the Vikings, you got to talk about Justin Jefferson, the man that probably, carries his team on his back half the time. Along with TJ Hawkinson, who is a really decent tight end. Could be the future of tight ends, to be honest with you. Not the best offensive lineman, honestly, in this Minnesota Viking offense. I do not really like the offensive line that much. I don't also like Kirk Cousins that much either as a quarterback. He gets the job done, yes, but at the same time, I think you can get better than Kirk Cousins, and I think sooner or later you're going to have to move on from him. On the defensive side of the ball, of course, when you talk about the defense for the Vikings, you talk about one player, actually two players in general. The one player we talk about on the defensive line is Danielle Hunter, who can get to the quarterback with ease. You also have Harrison Phillips, who's also a nice right end, I guess, for the Vikings in that 3-4 defense. Normally you play defensive tackle, but with the system they're playing, they put him at the end. And I think Harrison Phillips is actually a stud that, the torn ACL in Buffalo hurt him as well. But if he gets stuff going and rolling, he could be a decent starter for the Vikings. In the middle linebacker spot, not really not a lot to really talk about here in the linebacker spot. But besides Danielle Hunter being a wide linebacker, I don't really consider him a linebacker. But you got Marcus Davenport in the sub linebacker spot. I mean, it's here nor there. It's it's whatever you want to run with the Vikings. I'm not really keen on their linebackers. Besides Danielle Hunter, I know, but I don't really consider Danielle Hunter a freaking linebacker. I'm sorry, guys. I just don't. But anyways, the secondary is where it gets actually interesting, because you have Harrison Phillips as a safety spot. Byron Murphy Jr. in the right spot as well for the Vikings. Corner not safety. Defensive back position here is basically ran by Harrison Smith. If Harrison Smith actually gets going, it's a tough time. But besides that, I mean, I'm not really keen on Evans on the left side, and also Byron Murphy Jr. can get beat. It depends on the days, let's just say. Let's just go to the schedule and see what I predict for this team. So here's my prediction for the Viking schedule this season. I have them going an average of 10-7, a ceiling of 13-4, and a floor of 5-12 if everything goes wrong. Of course, I'm mostly thinking right now that the Vikings are going to be basically dependent on if Justin Jefferson has a monster year again this season. Justin Jefferson has carried this team through multiple wins last season, and honestly, Justin Jefferson was a beast and a monster. If he keeps up doing what he's doing this season as well as what he did last season, then this Viking team could be a challenge. Let's go through some of the games. I haven't beaten the Buccaneers week 1, lose the Eagles week 2, beaten the Chargers week 3, beaten the Panthers week 4, losing to Kansas City and losing to the Chicago in close contest games. They beat the not the Chargers. They beat the Niners. They beat the Packers in Green Bay. Lose to Atlanta, beat the Saints in a close contest, lose to the Buccaneers, lose to the Broncos, beat the Bears, beat the Raiders, lose to the Cincinnati Bengals, beat the Lions in a close contest, beat the Packers, and then they end the season losing to the Detroit Lions. Now, this is all close games in my honest opinion, and they could be lopsided. Like, that's the difference in this right here, is that I have so many close games for the Vikings, to where if everything goes right, they can be 13-4 easily this season, but there also could be a 5-12 like floor if they lose all these close contests. And that's the main problem, is that I think the Vikings are very streaky. They've been streaky last season. Well, actually, they weren't streaky last season. They went on a big run, yes, but they're streaky in the way they play. They had like games where they played like absolutely phenomenal, games where they barely squeaked by, blah blah, stuff like that. And 2 years ago, when you know, they went 8-9, they were very streaky then, and I feel like that's the team that you're gonna see this year as well. So yeah, let's just go closing statements on the Vikings. So my closing thoughts on the Vikings is this: I think they're gonna be a very streaky team this year. You're gonna have some games where they win, they're gonna have some games where they lose, and it's gonna be all dependent on those close contests for the Vikings. Depend if they're gonna be a 13-4 team or be 5-12. There's no like indifference between these Viking team. I think they're gonna be very streaky this year. They're gonna see them lose games they shouldn't lose, and it's gonna be quite an interesting season for the Vikings this year. Now, if they win all the games they're supposed to win, and they also win the games that, you know, they probably shouldn't even be in like a part of in the first place, they could win the NFC North easily once again. But I think there's gonna be a little bit more competition this year compared to last season, and we'll talk about that competition coming sooner or later on the channel here. But yeah, that is my prediction for the Vikings this season, guys. You guys might disagree with me, and that's okay. We all have different opinions on the NFL season, but if you like what you see here, leave a follow, hit the like button on the video, leave a subscribe, go to my Twitch, and follow my Twitch channel as well as the Avatar Wolf. And yeah, we'll see you next for the Detroit Lions. Have a good night, guys. Peace.